Hello and welcome to Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella, Mayor. Just catching up on a couple of emails, and it's been a busy time, as you know, as everybody gets back into the groove from the holidays. It's a serious time for them, but it's been busy for us right through the holidays, and we are in full force now. And happy to see you. Remember, our phone number hasn't changed. It's still 978-537-7760. That's the number to call here at Inside Leominster, and we'll be glad to take your call. Extension 3 is our number. And again, we'll be glad to take your call if you have any questions. You know, as I go through different social media sites, there's always questions. And yet, we open up, for 25 years we've been here, different spots, but always doing a live show. And that's, you know, and so people will have questions, and then, but they won't call in to ask them. And yeah, so we encourage anybody that's out there that might have a question about something to give us a call at 978-534-75. I'm sorry, 978-466. What is it? Let's see, 978.
537-660.
There we go. I have my glasses on. 537-7760, extension 3. And there he is to assist me. Let me just fix my call here. I was putting on my, you got to get this straight. How's that look?
Well, you know, you're getting your Happy New Year, and you're a year older sooner or later, you know.
Can't help it.
Is the swearing-in ceremonies, the city council doesn't get sworn in this time, do they?
Sure. It's really...
Oh, they do. That's what I thought. I sit and Rita said, no, it's just the mayor.
No.
I said, no, it's everybody.
Yeah.
New Year and stuff. How was your week?
It was really good.
Good. I'm glad yours was.
So it's busy. Very busy. Yeah.
Well, we got to test the 911 thing on this past week. I had a stupid moment, and I took a glass of water. I have no idea why. I had a mouthful of water, and I decided to try to not swallow it all at once. And when I did that, naturally it went down the wrong pipe. But now I've still got a full mouth of water, and I can't breathe.
Right.
And it was prolonged, and things were getting pretty serious. And I'd like to thank the dispatchers on the 911. They calmed my wife down, and as they were calming her down and asking about me, I slowly got my breath back.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I had to talk to them because they insisted on sending support out. And I said, I don't need it, but they're concerned about a waiver. But they talked to me, and I told them what happened. But it was getting scary there for a minute. Boy, oh boy.
But you're okay.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, I'm having a water now.
You know, I have a difficult time drinking water. I often choke on water.
You know, be careful. I'll tell you, I was scared because it's one thing to lose your breath, but when you're fighting to get it back and, you know, that deep gasping, and it was prolonged. Yes. And all of a sudden, I caught a little air, and then it gradually got better and better. But other than that, things are good.
Good.
Stock market took a beating today.
Did it?
Oh, did it ever?
Because of what?
Apple didn't meet their numbers.
Oh, yeah. Apple kind of did a quickie. They sort of let everybody know that they kind of hinted to everybody. And then, you know, they would kind of like break out the news and, you know, kind of slowly release it so there wouldn't be this massive panic. But at some point, every company reaches the top, whether it's Walmart or Sears, right?
Yep, they underestimated, they said. Well, you know.
That, you run out of ideas and creativity, and let's face it.
Well, that's it. And it got so expensive.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I can't speak to it. I don't own a cell phone.
Yeah, well, all right. How many phones do you need? And remember, they charge you for a phone today. Everybody's got a phone. I was at the State of the State today, the inauguration for the governor or lieutenant governor. Everybody has a phone, or 2 or 3. And information it never ends. It just keeps coming at you. So the reality of it is that at some point, there's the threshold where everybody has something. Eventually, we're going to reach the point where everybody has a new car. Or even if the lease is up for the 3rd year, then that puts all those cars on the market, right? Because they turn those cars in and get new ones. But then you have all those cars in the market. So eventually, this whole thing is everyone reaches everybody has 850 coats in their closet. Everyone has, even holiday decorations, if you've noticed it. People
it's funny.
People have bins of this stuff, bins in their basement or attics.
It is so funny you're saying that, because I'm looking at 3 bags of golf clubs. And I'm looking at another dozen golf clubs on my night bed down here in my rec room. I only need 12. So I got 3 bags full.
Right. At some point you say, let me move on, because this doesn't make any sense. Let me wear out what I have.
It doesn't. And we go out often, and if I'm sitting in the car waiting for the wife, everybody coming out of a store or going into the store is talking on their phone.
Right.
Why?
They're calling
I don't understand it. I really don't.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I can thank the telephone. My first date with my wife, I called from a payphone on John Fitch Highway, right where the Mercury dealership used to be. They had a drive-up phone there. And I put my last dime in to get a hold of Rita. That's the only time I relied on an external phone.
Yeah. Well, it's a changing world. I know city can't shut down anymore. We have to operate 24/7. The people come, from different social media sites. There'll be questions, concerns. Anything could be happening, and it does. People work different shifts, and so people work on their schedule, and they might send an email or a text or something from Facebook or a message or something on Twitter, and you got to stay up on this stuff, because the world moves 24/7. There's no quiet.
Oh, it doesn't at all.
It's the holiday. You know what? It comes down to a couple holidays a year, and other than that, it's just busy all the time.
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. And I know it's a great invention. I mean, it saves lives every day.
Absolutely.
I mean, God almighty.
But, listen.
My daughter insisted we have a phone, so she gave us a flip-up we've got. She even pays the bill. The only time we use it is when we go to Foxwoods and she wants to know if we get home okay. We'll call her on our way home. But I used it one day when I saw an emergency on the road, and I was the only one there with my wife, and we called it in.
Right.
And we saw it work, because 5 minutes later we saw the rescue people. But other than that, I don't have any use for it.
But you know what? Even like Facebook, I'm even seeing now that people are just getting tired of it. It was a very good idea. It used to be able to get on and stay in contact with friends. It was almost like a reunion from high school, of people you worked with. You'd seek each other out. You'd see each other's pictures, climb on it and say, request a friend, and you'd trade pictures and tell everybody, kind of trade information and happy things. And there's a fair, a bazaar, or a fundraiser. And then it just turned ugly, like all other things.
And it's getting commercial, too.
Yeah, and now people are like, you know what, I think I'm getting off. I'm using it less and less. A lot of my friends are like, you know what, it's overwhelming. There's a lot of negativity on there. And so people started off with it as a very positive tool, and now a lot of it turned negative and commercial, as you say. So there will be that saturation point for everything. Yep. And I think for Apple, they probably have reached in some areas.
When I discovered it, I thought I'd get creative, and I said, I wonder if I could find the old gang from the car barn. And be damned if I didn't. I found every Sunday I'd follow Gary Fisher around on his Sunday paper route. I was like a little puppy. He's a retired, extremely successful insurance owner in I want to say Indiana.
Wow.
He has a condo on a waterway in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Nice.
Travels the world, and he's done extremely well.
Nice, good for him.
And it's just wonderful. We talked and back and forth. Another young fella that lived up right across the street from the car barn on the corner of Nichols and Nichols Street in Millard Ave. Talk to him. It's just wonderful finding these people.
And that's a good part. And that's a good part of it. And I
Yes.
think what will happen, I know some of my friends just have little groups, or they resort to Instagram. It's a little more kind of put a picture up, and so I think what's going to happen is if it outserves, if for some people who don't want to get into the the hate and just talking about just ruining people's lives and other business. How many times you see somebody post something about a business?
Oh, yeah.
You can ruin
Absolutely.
somebody's business.
Absolutely.
And so I think that. I think sometimes things will not sometimes, oftentimes, I'll do it. I think what probably Facebook will do is they will give you an opportunity to maybe opt out of sort of news services, opt out from some of the advertising, because it just gets to be too much. Did you ever try Marketplace? It's part of Facebook, but what it is, it's like the old days of the Want ad. Or Yankee Trader on W.
Yeah, we used to listen to that.
Right. It's like that, only it's in a picture format on Facebook, so it's part of that.
Oh.
Well, when it started, it was great because you could look up anything if you were looking for something, a holiday decoration, I don't know, whatever you're looking for, cars, trucks. You could look it up. Now it's just filled. Like there'll be a couple of posts, then advertising. Couple of posts, then advertising. So
see, like flea market, but it's just the opposite.
Yeah, but it's just filled.
I noticed politically too.
Yes.
It gives the people like yourself in politics a flavor for how the sentiment is out there.
Yes.
Who's in bad taste, who's in good taste, and some of the subject matter, et cetera, et cetera. You can get a read to what's going on.
Yes, that's exactly
and I think
right.
That's good.
See, now I said people won't call, but I'm getting emails saying I don't call, but I'm watching. Another message from Facebook that says, yeah, no, I watch all the time. I don't have anything to call about. You can just call and say hello. And, there's 4 or 5 remarks here so maybe we should just set up an email. I'll set up a little computer here. And if people want to either text or email or Twitter in, they can and ask a question or just say hi. Maybe that's what we'll do.
There you go.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a new form of communication so people don't feel like, hey, I don't have to call and have somebody hear my voice. Next thing you know, they'll be bashing me on Facebook, right? I mean, that's what happens, right? This lady that called last night, I think I know who it is, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So that's okay.
Well, we'll see you next week.
That's the plan.
We'll be at City Hall.
All right, can't wait.
We don't get snowed out.
No. Happy New Year.
All right, you too, and to yours as well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Here we are inside Leominster on our first show of the new year. And I don't know, New Year's resolutions used to be a big thing. Haven't really heard much about them anymore. Very little about people saying, I have a New Year's resolution. I think all of our resolutions are the same. More time with family and friends, less time working, better health, lose a few pounds, right? I mean, I think that's pretty much live longer, so stay healthier. All the things that we know we should be doing, but somehow or another, life gets in the way, or time, or I think the advent of the computers and everything allowed us to get more work done, but it keeps us busier all the time, and always responding and reacting and thinking. And I just thought of this. I can send off a text or an email to somebody to remind them, or I can put something in my memory, in my list on my phone so I can remember something. And did I forget to do this? Did I forget to do that? I need to check. I need to check my schedule because I think something is on there. I'm not sure if that's the date. So, it's good and it's bad, but I think people's New Year's resolutions are pretty much the same. They change with the economy. Sometimes people say, you know what, I'm going to pay down some debt. Other times they feel good about things in their life. And you know what? I sacrificed a lot during the recession. I feel good. I got myself back up and going. I'm on my feet. I think I'll spend a little money. And so a lot of things go on, but I just haven't heard that, that sort of all those, everybody talking about my New Year's resolution. The other thing I didn't hear about so much this year is certain things that, certain items or gifts would come up as the highlight of the holiday season. Like last year, it was drones. I hear very little. Carl, are you there back there? Let's have a little chat about drones. So last year, the big sensation and the big thing was drones. And everybody's going to get a drone. And then I think some people got them and realized you have to read the directions. They have some training. Otherwise, you start crashing these things into buildings and trees. And it can become quite costly. And the other thing is, I think people thought you could just fly them anywhere you want. and they can't. There are regulations. So I didn't hear a whole lot of talk this year, or even displays or advertising about drones. And to be honest with you, I didn't hear a whole lot of, I think men, they target sort of tools and some like winter clothing, but I didn't see a whole lot of that either this year. And I think everyone's wish list, it might be complete. So gift cards, that kind of thing, money, cards, I guess, you know, handing kids to people money, those kind of family vacations, those sorts of things I think really took center stage for the holiday season. And that I think is an indication that most of us are okay, that we have the things we really need, and it gets tougher and tougher to buy things.
Yeah, drones can be overused. You know, they're no better or worse than the person flying it. So.
But did you see them people asking or getting gifts this year of drones? I didn't see it this year. Last year, I saw it.
Let me ask my drone expert who's sitting next to me here.
Yeah, ask him.
Bradley.
Yeah,
Bradley, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the laws have definitely developed over the past year, so people are seeing them now more as tools and liability than toys. But that's not, you know, that's not a bad thing. They're still good for what they do.
So maybe the question tonight will be, what were the hot items? If you work in retail, what were the hot items in the on the Christmas list this year, on the wish list? What were, I mean, even
the
when
Nintendo Switch. I can say that firsthand.
Is that what it was, the Switch? But even when the kids were calling Santa last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it might have been, there wasn't, I didn't hear some of the things that I usually hear. It were real basic things. Kids weren't asking for things that were elaborate. They were looking for Barbie dolls and, you know, blocks and common things. I did not, some games, right? So.
Yeah, you know what it was? If you remember, there were two popular things, those LOL dolls and Legos.
Yes.
Legos are still popular today.
Right. All right. So if anybody wants to call and let us know what was relevant in the 2018 holiday season, let us know. You can always email me at dmazzarella-ma.gov. That's dmazzarella@leominster-ma.gov. We need a shorter email for the show, and then people will find it very easy to ask a question. Anyway, give us a buzz. We're going to take a short break if you guys are ready back there. And then we're coming back with Rob DiMarzio, and we're going to be talking about fire prevention and fire safety tips. And looking forward for that, to that. And this is, well, it's always that season, but especially now. Taking a short break, and we'll be right back. And we're back here. Nice job back there. I haven't seen that one in a long time. Anyway, our phone number hasn't changed. It's 978-FIRE, and they'll periodically put it up there. Give us a buzz. Rob DiMarzio is here from Fire Prevention, the Leominster Fire Department. And thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you. And, you know, some of the things we don't think about. I guess we think we're all programmed and we do everything right, and then there are things that we don't think about, like, right? I mean, there are so many things, and even today with so many, sort of precautionary things, inventions and things today, we still have fires. I'm surprised in the last couple of years how many fires we have, and some are mysteries. We never really know what caused the fire, but some things are just everyday sort of common sense things.
Yeah, a lot of the things that we see, obviously smoke detectors and CO detectors are still very big issues. A lot of people don't realize that your smoke detectors actually do expire. If they're older than 10 years old, it's time to get
That's
new
why
ones.
the new ones say the battery life is 10 years. So that way you put it in, you don't have to count on the battery lasting, changing it every spring or fall. And then this will last 10 years. But when it's done, you really should go down and get some new ones.
Yeah, you go down to Home Depot, Lowe's, or even come down to fire prevention and ask us what kind you need. We'll tell them where you need them, what kind you need, and we can help you out. So if you're a little lost or confused, don't hesitate to give fire prevention a call, and we'll help you out.
So what are some tips that people should? I mean, obviously the pellet stoves and cleaning your flues and burning wood and all those things. Cleaning the furnace if you have an oil furnace.
Absolutely. So every year, we right around September, October, we go on a bunch of calls for furnaces that misfire. And what it is sometimes it just happens, but you should have it cleaned yearly by a professional. If you don't, you can have problems. All of a sudden, your house, you hear a big loud bang, and your house is filled with black smoke, and you're calling us. Sometimes it's just easier. Call a professional. Have your furnace cleaned. Yeah,
it's a lot cheaper, right?
Exactly. Chimney fires. Same thing. You should really have your flue serviced every year.
Unless you don't use it that much. If you don't use it that much, a few times a year or whatever. But
a few times a year, but just then once every other year, get it looked at. You know what I mean? Get it looked at. It's a lot better than having a chimney fire. So if we're at your house, it's probably not a good thing.
Yeah, it's going to end up being costly for somebody. Right?
Exactly.
Insurance company.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what else I noticed is people converted to gas. And they think, and you don't have to have your gas furnace cleaned as often, right? But what they forget is that in that clean out, that you still have to have your chimney clean out. So I would suggest to people that when you leave the whole, I'm leaving oil to go to gas, clean that, make sure your flue and all that area is still cleaned out, because what happens sometimes is it builds up, and you think, oh geez, I don't have oil anymore. And you don't open the little door to make sure. Well, that might be 15 or 20 years worth of soot in there. And even then, you could have a malfunction or end up with, a problem.
Well, how many times have you sat there and said, I just did it a couple of years ago? In reality, it was, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, So and sometimes birds get down there, they form a little nest, or squirrels, and you're right. If you're going to convert, just pay the little extra money, have it looked at, have it inspected, have it cleaned. It avoids a lot of problems.
It's a small amount of money for the amount of damage that it can do.
Right, the headache. And it's never when it's warm out that you do it. It's when it's starting to get cold.
The staying safe in winter months, there are all kinds of things, right? I mean, you guys go to ambulance calls. I know we talk about fire prevention, but there's also other things that you can do, like being really careful in your home when you're, a lot of slip and falls, a lot of elderly people. The other day when it was really icy out, as much as we tried to tell people, stay in until they get this thing under control, until the temperatures come up and the salt starts to kick in. There were still people out there, and there's so there are things that you can avoid, minimize your risk, I guess, is the question. That would come under general safety, right?
Yeah. So, speaking of senior safety, we do have a program, Senior Safe, and part of that program is fall safety. If you have a elderly family member, friend, whatever, keep an eye on them. Take a look around at their house. Sometimes they have their oxygen tubing, going across the floor, or they have an extension cord. Sometimes they like to hold on to a bunch of stuff. And what happens is their pathways narrow down. Yeah. So we just kind of ask family and friends, look out for them. Help them out with stuff like that.
Easy on those extension cords, too. A lot of houses were built and doesn't have so many plugs, so people think, oh, I'm just going to run the plug through an extension cord. And all extension cords aren't the same.
Yeah.
Right? You start plugging things in and heaters and everything to
Right.
one of those little green or white extension cords that you get for $2.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before that thing it starts heating up.
Exactly.
Right? You cook an egg on it.
Exactly. Yeah. No. A lot of people use space heaters to help supplement their heat, which is great. But you should have the proper power cord, something that can handle the power rating of what your space heater is going to require.
So go ask somebody. Go to, even like an Aubuchon. You can go in and ask them.
Absolutely.
They have a lot of people that are knowledgeable that will tell you exactly what you need, or an appliance store or whatever. We'll tell that. Or call it, like I said, the fire department and say, what kind. Most of the times it'll say like an appliance.
Exactly.
Cord. Is that what they usually say? Like, like Manny's and some of these other places that sell, appliances will tell you. They know the ratings on these things. They're pretty knowledgeable.
Manny's actually very good, very knowledgeable. Same thing. If you go down to Home Depot, I know some of the guys down there are really, they're smart when it comes to that kind of stuff, and they'll show you which extension cord to use if you do need to use one.
Right. And don't cheapo out on an extension cord. I know sometimes you look and you're like, how much for that extension cord?
Yeah, right.
Well, guess what?
Yeah,
that
much for a
extension
reason.
cord might be worth about $200,000 or $300,000 someday, right?
Yeah. Well, you have the
if
guy.
you have the right one.
You have the guy trying to be Clark Griswold.
Yeah.
Running his whole house on this little extension cord.
One plug.
Yeah.
978-537-7760 is the number to call here. Rob DiMarzio from Leominster Fire Prevention, where he works with a couple other firefighters in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And do a good job. I mean, there's a lot to know. I mean, we start off, I think, at one point with one person in there, and then we had to increase it to 2 and 3 with all the businesses. Lots of businesses use different materials, and they have to be handled properly. You got yearly inspections in businesses to help them out.
Right.
And again, for prevention, right? For purposes of prevention.
Those guys, the amount of knowledge between Deputy Rowland, Lieutenant Tiggs, Lieutenant LaFave, Joe Poria, CJ, the amount of knowledge between those guys, and it's amazing.
Yeah, there's nothing they don't know, right?
And if they don't, they'll find out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they pretty much know, but they say, well, I'm not 100% sure. Well, they're 95% sure. They just want to make sure they're sure, right?
Yeah, right.
And just like he said, just incredible amounts of knowledge. I can call on them myself. The program for the for stoves. Yes. Is that still in effect?
Oh, yes.
You're still doing that?
Yep. These right here are the fire stops. What you do is, if you are a senior, 60 years and older, single family, or if you own your own apartment, we can install these for you. And what they do is, let's say you're cooking, you step away for a second, or fire starts. Yeah, fire starts.
The doorbell rings.
Yeah, exactly.
And all of a sudden you go out there, you think there's going to be a 2-second conversation, and the guy's trying to get you to, convert, buy windows.
Yeah,
and right. I gotta go. I got stuff cooking. Next thing you know, the house is cooking.
Right. He sees the smoke and realizes you weren't lying. The nice thing about these is they go up right above your stove, and let's say the fire does start. What'll happen is there's a little fuse right in here, and what happens when it melts, these will pop open, and they will suppress the fire. Give you a little bit of time to call 911, get out, and helps us. Hopefully it'll put it out, but if not, it'll suppress it enough, give us a little head start coming to you to help you out. And we give these away for free. All you have to do is call Fire Prevention. So if you're, like I said, above 60 years old, give Fire Prevention a call. We'll come down and help you out.
Well, I mean, that's the best.
Yeah,
that's
free stuff.
Yeah.
Free stuff. The other thing that we have, we're all getting a little older. I'm sure a lot of us are on medications. These are very, very helpful. What happens is a little magnet on the back, put it on your refrigerator, and you can give us some of your emergency contacts, medical conditions, medications.
Especially if you live alone.
Absolutely.
Maybe somebody hears you, maybe you fell in the apartment, somebody hears you, you can't really communicate when you get there.
Yeah.
You might be upset. You might not remember because you're upset. Right. And when you come in and you look on the refrigerator, that information is there. Oh, that's helpful.
If we can look at a little bit of your past medical history, and there's a reason that you're not responding to us, well, that might tell us you could be diabetic. Right. There could be other issues. Exactly. Plus, it also just gives us emergency contact if we need to. So very, very helpful. Again, these are free. If you have parents that are elderly and you want to come get some, call fire prevention, and we'll make sure we have some on hand for you.
In 2017, you were honored by the fire department along with firefighter Andrew Dunner for the work with the department's Safe Fire Education Program.
Yes.
What a great program that is. I
love
still
it.
remember. I mean, it's instilled in my mind what to do.
Yeah, I absolutely love it.
From the SAFE program.
Right, right. Drew and I have been doing it. I think this is 7 or 8 years I've been doing it. I love going into the schools and seeing the kids, and the funny part is now I'm seeing kids that are in college, and hey, I remember you.
Yeah, I remember you.
Oh man, I'm getting old. You know?
Oh, I'm old.
But yeah, no, it's a great way to educate these kids and
interact with them, right?
Absolutely. And what happens is when you teach them about smoke detectors, they go home and they talk to their parents and their families about it, and they're excited, and maybe a little message gets out to them to help them stay safe. So yeah, it's a good program. It's fun.
What else do we forget about firefighter, about safety, and anything else that we should be talking about this time of year? I mean, we've talked about wood stoves and pellet stoves. Make sure we haven't had any real significant snow, but when it starts to pile up, some of those stoves were put in earlier, and the snow can pile past the vent, and then you're going to end up having a problem.
Yes. One thing, real quick, is space heaters. Like we touched upon it earlier. If you are going to run a space heater, that's okay. Just like we were saying, make sure you have the proper cord. Make sure you keep at least 3 feet away. Everything, so it doesn't burn. And have it on something stable. You don't want to put it up on a wobbly table, bedside table, because if it tips over and you're sleeping, it can start a fire.
And some of the older versions don't have that automatic shut-off.
No, they don't.
Right.
They
Some
don't.
people are like, you know what, I've had this for 15 years. Well, it doesn't have an automatic shut-off.
Yeah, right.
And new ones are pretty sensitive. You even move them a little bit, but still, those could malfunction as well. I mean,
Absolutely.
These are only $30, $40 pieces of, plastic that you're putting out there.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
This wasn't meant to be the end-all, but they do have safety switches in it. But the older ones might not.
Right.
And that's when it gets really dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want to see anyone get hurt. If you're looking to purchase one, I always say go with the better quality. They might have a couple safety features. Look into that. Spend the extra few bucks on the good cord. And,
I always stand there when I'm looking at cords. I'm like, what do I really need? It gets a little bit confusing. You have to be there a while.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money for a cord.
You want
But then
for what?
Then I start thinking about it. I'm like, no, that's not a lot of money. That's actually pretty cheap.
Right.
And anything else that we can talk about? I mean, when we had a fire recently, just improper disposal of probably smoking materials. That happens quite a bit, unfortunately, still. Yeah. It happens less, but it still happens.
Smoking safety, as long as people smoke, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Especially, a lot of people, you're smoking a cigarette and you flick it. Well, what you don't realize is, the mulch. You're going to catch the mulch on fire. Right. Or you don't know what's around, some leaves, dried leaves. And it smolders for a little while. And you don't notice it.
Nope.
And then all of a sudden you have a fire. So yeah, smoking safety, if you are going to smoke, we try to tell people smoke outside. Have a good solid metal container that you can, extinguish your cigarettes in. Speaking of coals, when you clean out your wood stove.
Oh yeah, that's another good one.
A lot of people, they'll take the coals and they'll throw them in the bin
or something.
Yeah, exactly, and they think not a problem.
Right, it's cold outside.
Yeah. Well, those can actually keep warm for a couple of days. Yeah. And if the conditions are right, you're going to catch a fire. You're going to get a fire. Yeah, just a little bit of oxygen, and there we go.
What else? And you know what? You're right. There's so much knowledge in the fire department. All across the fire department, there are people that specialize in certain things. Yeah. By their own, they have a particular interest in certain areas. Right. And they really focus in on them, which is really good because it's sort of like train the trainer, right? We have a number of people that teach at the fire academy, but just people that take different interest in different areas that can come back and sort of share that with, other firefighters, which only help. And today with technology, you're already, the call comes in, you're already preparing for where you're going and what you're going to get there, right? So you're already communicating what size building this is it a wood structure building, is it a factory? The kinds of calls that are coming in that might lead you to believe that this is a real fire, you might need additional help. So you're already preparing in your mind. And so technology's really, helped us to keep a list of what might be, the contents of what might be in there. Right.
When we drive around, we'll do what we call familiarization. we'll drive around. We'll look at some of these buildings, and try to see what kind of construction they might be. Balloon frame. A lot of people don't realize what balloon frame is.
Right.
But we do, because that's very important to us. If you have a fire on the first floor, you're going to have one on the third. And we also pre-plan.
Right.
We'll go to a building, we'll look at it and say, okay, if there was a fire
If we
there.
ever had to come here.
Yeah. And, so if you see us driving around, we're looking around at a lot of different stuff and trying to pre-plan, just trying to absorb everything.
Right. Get familiar with the area, the neighborhood. Things
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, exactly.
New people in the department who might not be, they might have lived on the west side their whole life or the south side. Maybe they didn't spend as much time off on North Main Street up by the car barn
Right.
or in certain sections of the city, right? So what do? They, you drive around, you see things, and it helps you to sort of pre-plan. Like, I'm going there. What's the size of the road? Where's the hydrants? You're already calling those sort of things in right away, saying there's a hydrant at certain locations. That's all, good training.
Yeah. This time of year, one of the big things that we are aware of, let's say we have a snowstorm. Cars, they're parked on the road. Well, that really limits the amount of room that we have.
Right.
The other thing is, plows.
Shoveling out the hydrants.
Exactly, plows. They plow in these hydrants, and we ask that the residents of Leominster help us out. If you're near one, take a few minutes.
There's a lot of hydrants.
We try to shovel out as many as we can, but we only have so much time and resources.
Right. They get a call, you got to leave.
Yeah, we don't want to get to a house and have to chip away ice at a hydrant.
Right.
We'd rather be fighting the fire, trying to save your house. So if you have a few extra minutes, take a walk over, give it a little shovel.
Good stuff,
Yeah.
Rob.
Yeah,
good to see you.
Absolutely.
And keep up the good work.
Appreciate it.
And Happy New Year. And you guys stay safe over there.
Thanks. Any good?
Incredible amount of calls. I mean, you guys are always out. Ambulance is always out. I mean, there's always something going on. I mean, it's amazing. Whether even if it's a false alarm, you still got to respond in the same way as if it was, for real, because you don't know, right?
And what's funny is, it seems like every time we get another ambulance, it's just the calls keep picking up.
Right. It's like, how'd they know we got an extra ambulance?
Yeah, they're always busy. So the call volume has increased dramatically. So. Yeah, no, it's great. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. Good to see you. We're taking a short break, and then we're coming back. We'll talk about some other things, but Photos of the Week is next, right here inside Leominster. Oh, this is nice. The veterans up there at the
And I was very happy to learn that you speak fluently French. On August 28, 1944, near Jutigny, in France, a young French girl told you that there were Germans in a nearby town. As the only French speaker in your corps, you communicated this information to your officers, which directly led to the successful capture of 20 German soldiers. Technician Fernand Fréchette, for your bravery and devotion that day, you were awarded the Bronze Star Medal, the European African Middle Eastern Service Medal with an arrowhead, and the Good Conduct Medal. Technician Fernand Fréchette, au nom du Président de la République, nous vous faisons chevalier de l'Ordre national de la Légion d'honneur.
And we're back here. Boy, that was a pretty moving ceremony at the Veterans Center just last week, and a big thank you to Charlie Valera for putting that on, and the veterans groups, the various veterans groups for attending, and they're being there in support of these veterans from World War II that served in France. And it was a pretty moving day, and lots of people showed up. Let's go to our questions of the week, if you guys are ready back there. In the meantime, if you want to give us a buzz or email us or whatever it might be with a question or comment, please do so. Hey, there we are. We are at Attorney Bradley's celebration. Here's a guy that was from Fitchburg, a local guy from the area. He went on to become an attorney, and then later lived in Connecticut, and became a state senator out there. And what a party over at the Eagles last Saturday night. We had a great time. such wonderful people. And yeah, congratulations to him and his family. I just know how proud they were of him, and what a celebration. Everybody that was there was so kind, and we got to chat about a whole lot of things, and everybody was happy, and just a good night. So congratulations. There we are. Eagle Scout Alden Shafter was there getting his Eagle Scout. And you know, these kids really work hard. Obtaining the status of Eagle Scout is not at all easy. And so we congratulate him. And I think I've been to, I forgot what I said, 61 Eagle Scouts just from that troop, Troop 11, if you can imagine that. So congratulations to him and his mother and father and family, because let me tell you, you don't become an Eagle Scout without the support of them, your fellow Scouts and Scout Masters, which that troop just so happens to have a reputation of having some long-term Scout Masters who are really devoted to those kids in Scouting. Next slide, please. Our little Mechanic Street Park there at the corner of Laurel and Mechanic Street is underway. And the project is starting this week. It'll finish probably by the middle of May. And I think it's real, you know, I know people have been looking at the lot after we sort of tore down the house. It doesn't look so good. Well, we got a grant to purchase the house and the property, but we had to wait until we get another grant to actually do the park. This is an area that's been underserved with recreational areas and parks. And finally, the kids and families of French Hill will have a place to just kind of have a picnic and a place to throw the ball and the Frisbee and sit and enjoy the day. And tonight, as I was passing, or as I was getting ready to come to the show, St. Cecilia was playing Hark the Herald Angels Sing. And what a beautiful sight. You can see the steeple at night. And so I think people are going to be pretty pleased when they see this project finished. Let's go to the next slide. Here's two guys, and I want to single them out, John Casey and Bob Haskell. These two veterans volunteered down in Bedford, VA. But let me tell you, these guys, I will say, hey, I want to stop down and see our vets down there at the VA. Can you set it up? Let me tell you, they not only set it up, they take you through the whole building. We get to visit not only the veterans from Leominster, but the people who work in Leominster and the people that have some association with Leominster. It ends up being a really, really emotional day in some senses. Some of the guys are, you know, get ill, and it's hard to see them like that. But it's an amazing place, and they do really wonderful things there. And we always discover new things, but very appreciative to be able to go down there and visit. But these two guys make it so pleasing. They make it so easy. They just go through all the hoops. They get you through all the alarms. They get you from floor to floor. I still haven't figured out those buildings yet. I know I go in Building 2, and I come out in Building 2, but I got to tell you, I'd get lost in there. If you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. These guys are volunteer. John on the left-hand side. I don't know how many hours. I'm going to have both of these guys on some show. But really, you know, just talk about giving of yourself in an important area. These guys want to make sure the veterans that are from Leominster and other veterans that are down there are not forgotten, that they don't feel like, you know, the people in the community forgot who they were. Did they pass away, or did they move, or, geez, I haven't seen him or her in a long time. And they do a great job of keeping them in touch. And we brought the Leominster champion down. We brought a fire truck down, a ladder, to see retired Lieutenant Felice Gabrielli, who just passed away the other day, and had his wake yesterday, which the fire department attended along with Roland Lane, which was actually across the street. And so, you know, those are the kinds of things these guys help us with. And, you know, if you know, we'll be asking the community for a few things that we can bring down there to the VA that I think not only our veterans could be helped with, but other veterans in that area. So anyway, thanks to these two guys. They really deserve a real uplifting sense of gratitude to them, because what they do, you see them smiling, it's always the way they are. And they go and see every veteran, not just Leominster veterans, and put a smile on their face. And it certainly is uplifting. And I appreciate their hard work. And there we are. There's the guy that runs the place, and his wife. But this is the guy that runs the place. That's Joe Brown, Leominster resident. And he's been at the VA for a couple of years. And he's the unit president of the area, and Joe calls the shots down there. I was very happy to see him and his wife down there when we made a visit just before Christmas, and we'll be back to see them very, very shortly. We're trying to set up a lunch down there, and they have a little atrium, a little greenhouse, not a little, pretty good size, so we're trying to organize that so we can sit with our local veterans and have lunch. So good to see them down there. So everybody's been asking, so what is going on with this pumping station down there on Pond Street? We see all kinds of things over there, and what is exactly going on? Anyway, the pumping station is getting a facelift, internal and external. But you see the generator on the right-hand side, it's also getting a backup generator. And, well, obviously you know what that's for. So this gives us a state-of-the-art system. And, you know, we had some issues with the water quality in the city, and I think we've tried to explain that. But I think all that people might remember sometimes is a quick headline to say, geez, you know, we're paying for good quality water, we're paying for a good water system, and we can't even pass the, you know, the DEP test. And the reality is we have a state-of-the-art system where maybe there used to be 30 things that we used to test for, and now there's, you know, 300 things. And I'm not sure we'll talk more about it on the latest show, but believe me, we've kept the water rates down and sewer rates. You have an incredible system, but not every system picks up everything. And there could be reactions to certain things and climate change, and that's exactly what we're experiencing now. We're right on it. We're going to fix it. We're not just sitting around. But I hear it all the time. I'm like, I won't drink Leominster water. Leominster water is horrible. The infrastructure is horrible. And honestly, let's not make this a political thing. All you have to do is, if you want a tour of the system and you want to stop down and get an update on exactly what your system is and what you're paying for, it's state of the art. I mean, far superior than most people. I've been to cities around the state where their infrastructure system it hasn't been touched since the 40s. I was with a mayor today out in Boston at the inauguration that was telling me about they're doing their I&I, which is separating the inflow water, the clean water that can be pumped directly into the storm system, but is in the sewer system. And you're ended up paying to have that water clean when it's already clean. It can be discharged into the river or the brook. And they're just starting this. In fact, most communities we're done with it. So I know it's very easy and quick to say, I wouldn't touch Leominster's water, I wouldn't drink it, the infrastructure's horrible, we got the worst system in the world. No, you don't. You have a problem with it, it's going to get fixed, they're working on it, but anybody that runs a water system, eventually you're going to have some problem with it. Just because there are so many areas that need to be tested on, and things are going to happen. What matters is that you have the infrastructure to fix it, and that you have the ability and the expertise to fix it, and that you got a team of people that are working on it to fix it. So anyway, we'll talk more about that, but I saw a number of things today on social media, and I said, no, that's not true at all. Yeah, you can be upset because we had this problem, but I don't know of anybody that had the crystal ball to tell us that, you know, hey, guess what? You're going to have this problem, so you should do this. Even the experts that we have that advise us in the water system, in the sewer system, things happen. And so if anybody knew about this, maybe they should have given us a little jingle, and I say that sort of jokingly, but we honestly didn't know that this problem was going to arise, and we're getting to the root of the problem. We're going to fix it. But I love Leominster's drinking water. I've been all over the country, and I'll tell you, there aren't many places that have the quality of water that we do, and certainly there are very few places across the country that have the infrastructure, have invested in the infrastructure that we have. So you can be upset with things, and you can say things, but really when it comes down to reality and people read that stuff, all we're doing is scaring people off and misleading them to think they have an inferior water system in the city when you have a superior system. Anyway, let's move on to the next slides. There's our crew. We're tearing out those stairs. Nobody uses them. This is the old days of May A. Gallagher. This is when the staff would use the front stairs and the administration. And parents, when they were there to visit, boys went to the right on Merriam Ave, girls went to the left-hand side. And what we found is the stairs needed repair from all of the years of salt and deterioration, and just a year of the building. And what we found is we don't really use those stairs. Even when they were in use, very few people use them, and it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix them. So what we decided to do is break them out, and we may put a sidewalk on that side of the building, but most people use the Church Street side and the Merriam Ave side. And so we'll take them out, we'll loom and seed it, and we'll just extend out the grass area there, and it should look pretty good. DPW at work, it's amazing what they could have done. They ripped that whole thing out. today. They have the equipment and the knowledge and the will and excited about what they do, and hats off to them. Proud of them. Next slide, please. There we go. There's a beautiful photo. I think Wendy was up in the cupola again. These look like Wendy's picture. These are little new snow photos taken from the cupola. Wendy's the only one that goes up there. I think everybody else is afraid. There's a pilgrim church. We have such a beautiful, historic downtown. And again, I travel all over the state. That's my main focus is. I do get to travel. And I get so excited when I see little, towns like this that we're able to keep their downtown and keep it historic, and all the churches that we have and monuments that we have in the downtown, and a lot of the history has been preserved, and a lot of the new buildings that are downtown have built them. The owners have built those buildings so that they look like they belong downtown, and they've been here forever. Next slide, please. And this is the photo of the week, which I don't know what it is until I see it, so whenever you're ready. The governor and lieutenant governor were inaugurated today. I was invited and happy to be there with a bunch of other mayors from around the state, as well as state reps and senators that were there to see this, and invited guests. And it was a packed chamber, and got a chance to congratulate the governor who's become and lieutenant governor that have become good friends of our city, and great people to work with, and sort of laid out the state of the state in terms of the kinds of things that we can expect. I was very, very, very happy to hear that they are going to take on the issue of the foundation budget and the way that the state puts the formula together. That's your taxpayers' dollars that go to the state, then are doled out back to the cities and towns. And I don't know how many years ago I started on this crusade of trying to rally support for the fact that if we didn't constantly update this foundation budget formula, that we were going to be in trouble. We fell victim to this probably first and recognized this as a potential problem, but it really took a lot longer for a lot more cities and towns to be affected by it. And then, of course, when they became affected by it, they joined in on the campaign to push to get some relief and get this formula changed, because we've got $9 million worth of cuts since not the last recession, but the recession before. And that's a hard thing to make up for, but you know what? The city of Leominster made it through the whole recession, and we made it on our feet. And we didn't cut programs or staffing, and it was a difficult thing to do. At the same time, we were receiving cuts. And I know the governor and lieutenant governor are committed to this, and issues like opiate addiction and the high cost of health care in Massachusetts, and education, and the high cost of housing. Anybody that knows, I don't care where you live, even out here in Leominster, Mass, the cost of housing is expensive. The cost to purchase a house is expensive. And yeah, it's a shortage of units. A lady told me the other day she had close to 100. She had an apartment open in Leominster. She had close to 100 applications in the matter of just a couple of days. And she said she had the grueling task of having to sift through all of that. So just an amazing thing. So thank you, Lieutenant Governor and Governor, for the invitation to be there, and thank you for your friendship and partnership with the City of Leominster. So coming up, if I didn't put it here, Monday night at City Hall, which will be the 7th. Everyone's invited. This is our basic state of the city. This is our chance to do pretty much what the governor did, and that is to talk about recapping our 25 years administration that we started here, and sort of reminding. And the funny thing is, I talked to a lot of the city councils, and they're like, we move so far ahead and so fast ahead. We sometimes never get the opportunity to look back and reflect because we're just so busy working on things ahead. And the same thing at the department head meeting the other day, we said the same thing. So when we were down here doing an update on our capital improvements, I think most of them were pretty amazed and impressed as a team how much we were able to accomplish. We said we were going to do all those things, and we did. 99.9% of them. So anyway, we'll talk a little bit about the past 25 years. We'll talk a little bit about the past year, and we'll talk about the plan for the next year. And planning is important. We become very good planners in the city, and the plan for what you can expect as residents and taxpayers and citizens of the city for your city. And so that's the 6:30 on Monday night. All are invited. We'll be doing it live here on cable, right, Carl, on LTV. We'll be doing it live, and I believe,
Yes, sir.
I believe that 95.1 will also be carrying it. Am I correct there, Carl? Do you know anything about that?
Ron says yes.
So our radio station will be, so this will be the first time in history that you'll be able to watch it on TV live. That'll also be streaming. That'll also be live on our own FM station, and it'll be streaming through there and streaming through YouTube. This is the one time that all of the medias will connect, and you can hear and watch this for yourself in any part of the world. That's pretty incredible. Technology is absolutely amazing. I remember the first year we were trying to get this thing filmed live, and what a task it was to get these inaugurations and State of the City addresses and City Council meetings on live. And you know, it's been quite a few years, but Carl knows he was on the negotiating committee that helped me to negotiate these things on, so you could see these meetings, the planning board meetings and conservation and any other meeting that becomes important, city school committee meetings, that you could see these. And you know, look where we are, look where we've come. So just the last note here, because we're going to get kicked off. Let's see. To me, this is one of the best events of the year, and it's because I was just saying this tonight. I was on the phone, and I said, you know, I noticed the lights downtown, but we were so busy, I didn't really get to absorb it. And it happens. And all of a sudden you realize next week the lights will be going out downtown, the holiday lights and the snowman and the Christmas trees, all will be turned off. And I thought, I'm finally absorbing it. You know, the beauty of it all, the magic of the season. And it just got so busy. And so this is one of the things that I think tops it off. And if you missed the holidays, maybe you were ill or maybe there was some family problems, who knows what the reasons might be. You were traveling, you were busy. Well, anyway, this sort of sums it all up. Sunday night, January 6th. Also, I think, is the advent of the Three Kings. And let's see, somebody here might tell me about it. But anyway, it's the Merrimack Valley Bell Ringers. And they are going to be at the Pilgrim Church at 26 West Street. Don't miss this. Honestly, get there early if you can, but don't miss this. It's even worth standing up if you need to be, if you need to. Don't miss this. It's January 6th. It's a Sunday, this Sunday at 7 o'clock. And it will put you right back in the mood. And if you missed the season for some reason, as I said, maybe there was a family illness or somebody passed away, this will put you right back in it. You'll feel like you didn't miss anything. And for them, it's a great concert because they're rushed all over the place. They have jobs, yet I don't know how many concerts they do, from Faneuil Hall all over Boston, all over the state. This is they got a chance over the holiday season to take a breath and relax and come back and do their final concert of the season. I've been to every one of them. You will not be disappointed. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. See you then. I will be there. And you can go to www.mvringers.org and learn more, or talk to somebody from Pilgrim Church. Everybody knows somebody from Pilgrim Church. They'll tell you all about it. We're out of time here at Inside Leominster, correct? Do we have 1 minute left for me to do one more PSA? If we do, Carl's coming. If we do, Leominster Recreation Department is going to start to look for help for the summer. Start thinking about that. Hey, parents, start talking to those students, your kids, about jobs for the summer. I know it's hard to start talking to them about it, but we really need to get these jobs filled. They get filled fast, and we want to really give everybody an opportunity to apply for them. We want you to think that this is one of those things where the mayor calls down there and says, hire everybody I know, or I got a phone, hey, can you take care of this person? Not the case at all. We opened it up here in January, so everybody will have an opportunity. Good night. God bless you. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. Please show up. Good night.